Hi guys. So let's start conditional statements. Okay. So now we'll be discussing these things, right? Like the conditions we can apply here, some true or false condition, right? Yes or no conditions, right? So if match this, do this task. If match this, do this task, right? If you do not match this, then do this task. So these things we'll do. Okay. So initially, like I will just write a program, a base program, right? Where we can just match some values, like we can verify some values that is greater than, that is less than, or these things will do. Okay. And how we do these things? So basically, whenever we say about like we write a conditional statement, right? What we do, we use conditional operators, right? So we'll discuss about operators, but before that, let's write a program, a simple program. Let's suppose what I want. We are having a value a variable a, and we are trying to store a value, let's suppose 10 into a, right? In the next line, we are saying if a is greater than 20, let's suppose, then what you have to print or do this task, whatever we are doing here, right? Says higher value. If a is less than 20, then print lower value, right? And then finally print task is done. Now what we have here, now let's do one by one. So what we are doing here, we are putting a value that is a is equal to 10, right? So a is 10, we are storing 10 into a, right? And then we are saying a is greater than 20. Now just tell me that condition is true or false. So if that is false, or we can say no, that is not true, right? Then do one thing, go to next step, or let me take it here. If that is yes, print the desired output, right? Then what you have to do, you have to go to next step. If that is no, then no worries, go to next step. So both things we have, right? So if we get the answer, if the condition is true, right, just print the values whatever we have here, right? If no, then do one thing, go to next step. And now what is the next step here? That is this one. Again, that is asking a is less than 20. Now again, we can have two answers. One is yes. If that is yes, do one thing, print the output. If that is no, go to next step, and the next step says print the desired output. And this also, if that is yes, do one thing also, print this one, right? So what we are doing here, storing a value here, right? Now we are trying to verify the condition that is true or false, right? So if that is true, what it will do, it will go in here and will check this output and will print the desired output, right? We'll go out here, we'll check the another condition, we'll verify this one. If that is true, right, it will print this one. If that is false, what it will do, it will just skip this part and directly goes to this one and will print this task. Okay, so now let's write this program, a small program. We can see the output also, right? So let me use atom again. Okay. So let me first of all save this file into a .py file, or we can say a Python file, right? Let's save this one to conditional sample.py, enter. Okay, now, so let me say a is having 20, let's suppose. Okay, so what we are doing here, we are storing 20 into a, right? And then we are saying if a is greater than 50, then do one thing, print what you have to print. The value is bigger, right? Now we have to go out again. Okay, I'll tell you like what are these things we are doing. Like we have to go into and we have to use some space. If I'll not use some space, so what will happen here, right? So these things we'll discuss, no worries. Okay, let's complete this program. And what will happen, let's suppose if I'll write this one here, so what will happen? So definitely we'll get some trace back, right? And we'll discuss about those things. So let's write this program. Now, if A is less than 50, then print one condition, that is value is lower. Fine, no worries. And then finally, if these two things are done, do one thing, just print a output task done, right? Now let's save it. Okay, now let me open CMD. Desktop, go to desktop. Now run your script. So the name we have here is conditional, I think that is sample.py. So the output is saying the value is lower and task done, right? So what the device is saying, the device is verifying everything one by one. If this match, no. If this will say this condition is false, so I cannot print this task, I cannot do this task, I have to directly go back to next step, right? And that is this one, and that is saying yes, that condition is true, A is lower than 50, and then print this value. So that is here, and then finally print this value, right? So let me make it 200. Now the answer will be just opposite, right? Now it will say yes, this condition is true, but this condition is false, so I cannot give the output of this desired one, right? So now let me run this command again, this Python script that is saying the value is bigger, right? Cool. So this is just a small sample example we have here. We are storing something into a variable, right? And we are using that variable and we are doing some calculation, right? We are just putting some conditional statement to verify that is true or false. It means everything we have based on true, false, yes or no, right? As we have done here in this example. Now, let's move to the next step. So right now, what we have done here, we have done these things, right? So now let's talk about how many conditional operators we can have that we can use in these things, right? So now, let me wipe these things. So now let's talk about the conditional operators, right? Now, how many operators we can have? So first, if I'll talk about in the Python language, let's suppose here we have this one, right? So this says the output of this one will be like greater than, right? If I talk about this one that says less than, if I take this says greater than or equal to. So we have two conditions here. One is greater than or that can be equal to, right? We'll use this also. This also we can use. And that says less than or equal to, right? We do have another one also, this double is equal to says the number is equal to or not, that says equal to. So this is what we are verifying here, the same number is equal to this number or not, right? And finally we do have this also that says not equal to. So we have these things, right? Now I'll write a program using these operators, right? And we'll see like what possible outputs we can have, right? And how we can use these things. So I will just write a program, again, a simple program with using all of these operators, and we'll see like how these works. Okay, let's again use an atom, right? In the same file, I'll be using these things. So we have A, let me say A, we are storing, let's suppose 20, right? And then let me use this, first of all, the greater than value, right? So I will make all the conditions true and we'll get the answer in this CMD file, right? So I'll say if A is greater than 10, we can put here, no worries, go inside, right? Now what I have to do here, just print. If this is fine, do one thing, print number is higher. Now the next thing, if, now again we are putting a next condition, right? If a is greater than, let me take a is greater than, no, a is less than 30, that will be true, right? Then do one thing, print number is lower. Now again, if a is greater than is equal to, let me take directly 20, right? That will be a true condition, right? Now you have to print number is equal. Let me take another one. If a says higher than equal to 20, again I'll use the same operator, right? Same condition, says number is again equal. Okay, if a is equal to 20, then print number is exactly same. And then finally, if I'll put here a, if a is not equal to 50, if this condition is true, then do one thing, print the value number is not equal, right? So in this condition, all these conditions will be same, right? All these statements will be same. And then finally, do one thing, after all of these conditions, just print job done. That's it. Now I'll save this one and we'll try to run the same conditional sample.py, and that is saying initially, first of all, that was true, the number is higher. The second condition is true, the number is lower. Again the third is true, equal, again equal, exactly same, not equal to, and finally that is saying job done. Now one more thing here, we are using these values, so let me take this one. Okay, so let me explain you one more thing here, what we are having here. So we can see, if this condition is true, go inside, run the value, give your output, come back outside, read this information. If that is true, go inside and like this, do everything. If some condition, let's suppose this condition is saying like equal to 30. Now this condition is false. So this will say, no, I cannot go inside now. I have to go to next statement, right? If this is true, it will go here inside, will run this command and will go out here and will run final output, right? Now, like this will do, right? But let's suppose, okay, what are these things? So what we are doing here, we are going inside a value. Okay, so let's suppose if I'll not use these spaces, right? What will happen in the background? So right now we are using here these space, right? You can see here we have 4 space, we have 4 space, we have 4 space, we have 4 space, we have 4 space. If I will not use these spaces, what will happen here? This condition will say I do not have any statement, right? If I will try to write this here, right? And this will say I do not have anything in if statement, right? It means I don't have any information inside this one, and I will go to next step. But here I will get some error, right? Because I don't have any output to print here. Correct. Now, so this will says this is a different line and this is a different statement. We can say this is sequential statement and this is a conditional statement. In this condition, like we do not have any other output, nothing we have, right? Now, and this says if I will do one thing, like if I'll use some space 1 2 3 4, or what I can do here, I can just directly use a tab value, right? So once we save the file in Python, let me do one thing, let's create a new file and I will try to write I will put 20 here, right? And I will say if a is higher than 50, then look here, if I'll press tab, that is taking a single space, right? Single space, right? But if I'll go to the .py file. So what happens in the background, basically, once we save the file in the .py, and this, we are using this atom, right? So this atom automatically supports if we are using Python file, and if we press tab, this will automatically take 4 spaces. So I can show you here. So this was this one, right? Let me write something. So blah, 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 and then tab. So look here, that is taking 4 spaces, right? So that is required here. So in atom, that is by default supported if you are doing some changes in .py file, a Python file, right? So it will take automatically 4 spaces. Now, what are these things? Indentation, right? So it means what we are doing here, the Python is reading the file, this script, right? If you find these things, now what we have here, we have indentation here, right? This is indentation, right? Now we have to go out again from this indentation, right? And then again, I have to read something, and again, I have to go inside the indentation, right? And I have to read this one, right? If this, I will take, let's suppose I will take this one. So let's see what will happen in the background. Okay, I will save this one. I will try to run this one, and that is giving me a traceback, right? That is saying, look here, you can see indentation error, right? And unexpected, expected, and indentation block, right? So right now we do not have any kind of indenting, we can say here in this if statement. So I can do like I have to write a program here. I have to add a indented block here. If we have that block here, definitely this will work. Otherwise, this will say I don't have anything inside, right? And I'll just give you some error. That's it. Okay. So I have to do like this. Just save this one. Okay, and run like this. It means every space matter here, right? You have to very careful while doing this scripting in the Python, right? And let's suppose if I'll say with 2 spaces, I will say print, okay, and print new, just a normal line we are printing here. Then again, this will say, you can see indentation error, unindented does not match any outer indentation level, right? So it means right now this is not in this one, and again that is not the part of a global indentation, right? It means this has to be a part of this if, or this has to be part of a global one, right? If I'll use another space like this, right, so this will give me the error. Okay, indentation error we can say here, right? So we have to be very careful while doing this scripting, right? So this is very important thing here. Whenever we write a program, so we have to make sure we have to write the program in the same block, in the same indent block, right? If that is missing, or if we have some issues, or let's suppose if I'm using some extra or few spaces, right, or not correct spaces, right, so that will give me a traceback error, right? Like this is a traceback error right now we are getting here, right? We can say this is basically indentation error, not a traceback error, right? Now, next thing, let's move to next step. Let me write a program, and then we'll see like what other things we can see here. Okay, sometimes what we do, let's say we are putting a value a is okay, let me show you here. Let's suppose we are having a is equal to 10, and we are saying if a is higher than 5, then do one thing. If that condition is true, do one thing, print the value. Again, in the print the value in the same indent, what we are doing here, we are again matching a condition. If a is higher than 9, then again, if that is true, do one thing, print some output, right? It means this is called your nested statement. It means in a single statement, what we are doing here, we are again doing some task, right? So this is like, we can say a is 10, right? If a is higher than 5, then do one thing. So this condition is true, definitely. Then print higher value, right? Now, again in the same statement, in the same indent block, I have to do if a is higher than 9 also. Now do one thing, print some other information. And these are called like we are going inside this one. If that is true, we are going inside again that is doing some task, right? If that is true, we are going inside. So we are going inside, right? So this is called, we can say this is basically a nested decision, right? So this is your nested decision. And now let's suppose now I want to give a final print, right? So I can write the final print here, or I can write the final print here, not in between or outside this one, right? So we can directly do one thing. We can directly unintend in the global. It means single intent, unintend, another unintend. It means what I can do here, I can print some values here. Final job is done. So like this, I can directly go out in the final one also, right? So this is basically your nested decision, where we can directly we can like make a new decision into a decision, right? Now next thing, so let's do this one, do this task. Okay, so if a is 10, so we are putting some value here, right? We are saying if a is higher than 5, do one thing, print a value. What do you have to print? Print value is higher than 5. Okay, now we're saying if, again we are putting some condition, if a is higher than 9, then what do you have to do? Do one thing, print value is more higher. Okay, and then finally, no, I don't want to print here, no here, no. Now again it means like we are doing two unintent, right? So we are saying finally print job is done, right? And I'll save this one. I will run the command, this Python script, and we'll see what will happen here. So we can see that is going inside. If that is true, again, that is going inside. If that is true, now that is going out directly, right? So this is the program we have, like this we can do. And this statement, these statements are called as nested statement or nested decision, right? Now, next one. So now basically we know how we can get these errors, or we can say if we are getting these errors, indentation error, right? So we have to make sure the indent block should be in the correct form. If we are not using any indent block, like we have to configure, we have to create, right? Without these things, the device will show me these indentation error, right? Now, the next thing. So till this point, what we have done a single statement, right? So we were doing like, if this match, do this task, if this match, do this task, if this match, do this task, right? Now I'll be taking another example that we can say a two-way decision. Two-way decision. So it means now we will include, so we were using if, now we will include as. It means we'll be having two options. One is yes, one is no, right? It means, let's suppose we are taking a 10. We are saying a is higher than 10. Now what do you have to do? If that is yes, print this value. If that is no, do one thing, print this value, and finally both answers will come back to a unintended answer. We can see in the global, like whatever we are doing, or we are printing something, right? So it will go one by one, but in this one, it will take a decision on the behalf of the if else condition, or we can say a true false condition. So we can say, let's suppose we are putting a here, a variable 10 with the 10, right? And we are saying if a is higher than, let's suppose 5. So this condition is true, definitely, right? Then do one thing, print higher value, right? Else do one thing, print lower value, right? It means the device will say, the Python will say, okay, I'm storing 10 into a, then I'm checking if a is higher than 5. Is a is higher than 5, greater than 5? Yes, definitely, that is true. If that is true, that will come here inside the script, right? Will show you this output, and now it will never touch the next statement. Reason, we have two conditions, if else condition. If that is true, now do one thing, just ignore everything and go to your final print. If you have task done, right? If let's suppose I'm taking here, let's suppose this is 15. Okay, so now what will happen here? If that is 15, so this will say I'm putting 10 into A, fine, no worries. I'm verifying these things. If this condition is true or not, so that will say no, 10 is not higher than 15. It means yes, this condition is false. If this condition is false, what it will do is it will skip this part and will go out here and we'll check, okay, else what we have. Now just print this one. It means now we have condition, right? Or we can say we have a statement that it will choose this one. If that is true, it will not go to next step. If that is false, it will go to next step and you will run this statement, and finally we'll go out here, unintended it will do, right? And we'll print these values. It means what we have here, we are storing something. We are asking for yes or no. If that is yes, I will just write this one. I will never go to this step, right? If that is no, I will never go to this step. I will just write this one, and finally both answers. If that is yes, that is no, right? After these answers, they will go to unindent answer. Or we can say next statement, what we have a condition, sorry, in the regular statement we put in the script, right? Now, next thing. So let me write a program like this. Okay, a small program with these things. A, we are storing, let's suppose 15. We are saying if A is higher than let's suppose 10, I will take, then what you have to do, print one thing, value is higher, right? Else if you do not find that condition is true, then what you have to do, just come here and whatever we have here, right, just print the information, value is low. That's it. And finally, again, I have to unindent, right? Go out, say task done. Save this one, run the same script again, enter. You can see the value is higher and then task is done. It means the device is not checking this condition. Whatever we have here, this will not check, right? If this is true, this will never go to the next statement, the next else, right? And it will directly go to the final statement. We'll just run the output, right? Now let me do some change here. I will say this as 1, let's say, right? Now this condition get false, right? If this condition is false, the device will never go in here. It means the Python will never read this line, will directly jump out to else, and whatever we have here will print, will again unindent, and we'll go out here, we'll see this task and we'll just print this value, right? Let me do here, look here. We are having 1 in A, we are matching here A, that is higher than 10, then do this task, but no, that is not true. So it means the Python will never go here and will check else. Okay, fine. This is the value and show me and print this value. Value is lower, and finally the task is done. So this we have a two-way decision. So in the next one, we'll discuss the multi-way decision. Okay.